brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me. Ask the Paul, where we rise and don't fall.
Welcome back to another episode of Baxter's Buzz. I am your host, Baxter E. Hall. Welcome to my brain. Welcome to my frequency. Enter at your own risk. Now, today, in the theme of Black history, paying homage to Black history contributors, I have a special guest with me. He is a regional claim manager with AAA. He's also vice president of NAAIA, which is the National African Americans and Insurance Association for the Michigan chapter, and heads up our youth engagement programs. A good friend, a wise mentor, and just an overall good dude. Jason Allen, welcome to Baxter's Buzz, my friend.
Hey, thank you. And I'm happy to be here. Baxter, you always give some of the best introductions, and I mean, you are also many of those things as you mentioned as well. So I definitely do appreciate it. I definitely do appreciate the platform as well. So thank you.
Yeah. Hopefully it's first of many times, but today we're here for a specific mission. And we want to pay homage to a contributor. So and I've been letting my guests, decide who we're going to talk about. And today I'm super excited to learn more about the person you want to highlight. So who do we have today, sir?
So today we have Deolis Allen Jr. So that is my father. And when you had brought to me the idea of communicating about a inspirational African-American hero, no more could I look than inside my own household, at my father in regards to a variety of things that he has done in various sectors, whether it be business, whether it be school, whether it's with sports, whether it's with family, whether it's with church. It just seems like every time I look at certain things, it's just like, wow, what hasn't my father has done? And so to me, I think that many times we tend to look at the fruit of someone's labor, or look at the fruit of a tree, and to basically see what value they have brought to the world. And I mean, when you look at his fruits, I mean, especially when I talk about my siblings, it's just like, wow, everybody has excelled in regards to higher education. He's also was the first one to kind of set that trend in regards to striving for higher education as a MBA graduate from University of Michigan. I think he was there before it was called Ross. So I know everybody called it the Ross School of Business, but he was there before that. And then even prior to that, with him going to Phillips Academy in Andover, Massachusetts, it was also an extreme sacrifice of his family, to give his family some additional reprieve, where they wouldn't have to worry about him, where they wouldn't have to feed him, they wouldn't have to clothe him, and certain things like that. He's just been a very, very, very excellent man in many folks' lives. So when we were in the discussions, I saw the information about Lewis College of Business, and I actually just saw him on the news recently talking about Lewis College of Business and the mentorship and the vigor, how they would take a student from point A and move them to point B and make them a true giver of society. It was like, wow, who else should I talk to other than Pops, Right. So I definitely do appreciate that, Baxter.
No, so talk about some of his contributions, and I know we went back and forth a little bit via text, but talk about some of the things that besides him being your pops, right? But talk about his impact on the community and some of the things he's done, whether it's been teaching, mentoring. You jump in there and talk a little bit about some of that.
Yeah, no problem. So one of the things that we have seen him do is to teach students. And I mean, teaching students from every realm of life, grabbing them from point A and moving them point B. So I remember when we were in high school, he would work his regular job and then he would also teach. So always being very industrious, in regards to one, making sure that he's a provider for the family, and then also two, making sure that he gives to his community as well.
Where did he
So
teach?
he teaches at Detroit College of Business, Lewis College of Business, um, Everest Institute, and then also, he was the dean at Lewis College of Business as well as teach, and I believe also at Everest. And now he's a full-time professor at Wayne County Community College, teaching business business classes. So in doing some research, a lot of times we don't Google the names of individuals we know or that we love or we care about. And I was able to Google, my dad's name, and basically Rate My Professor came up. And the interesting part about Rate My Professor, it was just like excellent and great. And I mean, we saw no subpar ranking at all. And they talked about his methods of communicating and basically being very clear in regards to the communication, setting the appropriate expectations, just every aspect as it pertained to teaching someone what to learn and how to learn these very interesting and intricate concepts of business, and basically grow to allow to project your career to the next level. So that was really impressive to me. I'm like, sometimes we just take individuals just for granted, like, oh man, he'll do this, he'll do that, whatever. And I also remember, to that point, even I think before he was a professor, all of the family friends, because he would always have the computers and Commodore 64 VIC 20s. I think that is a little bit before your time, Baxter. but we always had the Apple IIe, things like that. And kids would come over and they would do their reports, and he would help them with their reports, and he'll help them with a variety of things as it pertained to their educational endeavors. And those are some of the things, man, that I truly do, that you truly do value, that you don't really see, to this day. It seems like everything is so segmented and everybody always has their own. Well, I have my own this, I have my own that, and so on and so forth. But when it was, we may have had, some things and maybe not necessarily other things, it was a communal environment where everyone could come and share in what we had, and I thought that was just I thought that was wonderful. And especially, in this time of communication, it allows me to sit back and reflect on many of those things as well.
So in the introduction, I mentioned you as sort of the person that heads up the youth engagement with the NAAIA chapter. Did you get that from your pops, like just wanting to be involved in the community?
You know what, and I probably have, and I mean, especially when I look at also my little brother, his namesake, Deolis Allen III. He is truly in the community. I mean, he basically is following his footsteps in regards to, education. But I mean, even some of the, like to me, Baxter, I think some of the most simplest things are the things that make a community and sharing, right? So, like I said about the computer, but even the simple things of, the kids are in the backyard playing, and this is when the kids would play, outside with each other versus, only play on these headsets,
Right.
Fortnite and so on and so forth. But, kids would always come over, and we would always have friends from the neighborhood, things like that. And he would always make sure that the kids had, something to eat, something to eat, something to drink, something to play with. And I think it's these unsung moments that actually sometimes get overlooked. And unless it is, an individual that may, mount to a King or Malcolm X or this, that, and other, these unsung people don't always get, talked about. And
That's right.
And again, I'm saying unsung, but the reality is like everyone needs to have that local hero to say, hey, look, this is my guy. This is the person that no matter what happens is going to have my back. So
I think that we all, with any sort of amount of level of success, can go back to one or two people, right, that we can sort of point to and say, this person helped me along, this person sort of encouraged me, set the blueprint. We don't always have the benefit of it being someone in our house, and it sounds like your dad was that for you, but also for a lot of other people in the community. Talk about community and how important it is. So my wife, she was talking to me yesterday about the kids were gonna, just getting back out, doing some sports and everything. And she was trying to tell her mom, my mother-in-law, Baxter isn't necessarily interested in the kids being these world-class athletes, although that would be great. And it was funny to hear her say it. She said, Baxter believes in team sports, helps build character. I feel like the fights, the fun times, the stuff that we did in the township, in Royal Oak Township, at the park, whether it's organized or unorganized ball, just being able to sort of have that community, be able to compete, and then sort of show love afterwards, right? And have that level of respect for people. I really felt like it was some of my biggest contributors of like building my character. Like talk about the community and sort of how it doesn't always feel like we're witnessing that same thing these days.
Right. So I'll touch on a couple points in regards to that. So while my father was at Lewis College of Business, him and another individual, or it probably was several individuals, but I do remember Dr. Clarence Green, they set up a SCORE. So SCORE was like the small business SBA loan consultant piece and things like that. So not only, I guess this is another feather in his cap, that he was basically helping small business go from point A to point B with small business planning, small business development, a variety of these things, and basically leveraging the information that he received with that U of M MBA, and also to all the other, educational endeavors, and basically is bringing that back to our community, right here on 6 Mile of Myers, and basically getting folks to the point where, they're able to, request for a small business loan and things like that. So I think that was, a key. And I think that to your point as well about community, my father was really big in sports, and when we grew up in Ann Arbor, so they were going to school, him and my mom were going to school at the University of Michigan, and we were there. And in Ann Arbor, the big thing was soccer. So basically we would play soccer, there. And my father had exposure. Detroit, we're now kind of getting in line with soccer, but when he went out to high school Andover, he, was familiar with soccer and learned some tools and things like that, and taught me how to play. And I actually was a really good, soccer player. Made the premier team as a kid and things like that. And then we moved to Detroit. Another thing, and he was always at the games and so on and so forth as well. And I think that that's key, especially for, young children. Another thing is that in regards to team sports, individual sports, and competition, when we came to Detroit, soccer was dead and gone. Soccer hadn't evolved to Detroit yet. Yeah. So we had a cousin that had a karate studio. So my father was like, look, when we moved from Ann Arbor to Highland Park, G Street, so that is not only a cultural difference, but a very different environmental, similar to the township, you know what I'm saying? And so when we came there, my father was like, look, we're getting in karate. So we all went to karate. It'd be my dad, my older brother, me, my younger brother, and even my younger sister. So and I leveraged that piece right there to just basically state, like right now, I'm coaching my son's basketball team, right? And so to me, I think that that was one of the things to keep us involved, keep us engaged, is by making sure that he was a part of those aspects and those things so that we can also remain engaged. And every time we had a tournament, you know, he'd be right there cheering on the sideline, telling you what to do, giving you advice, so on and so forth. And even though, you know, when I'm not necessarily the coach, I'm not necessarily that parent, you know, that's telling my son, hey, do this, do this, do this, do this. He was always that dad. Hey, I don't care what the coach says. You need to do this, do this, do this. And it's just like, wow, you know, many times he was correct in that respect. But you know, I think my dad, he's approaching 70. One of the few things that I definitely did enjoy is, you know, and again, back to that community piece in Highland Park, where we were able to, you know, play basketball with the other guys in the neighborhood. We'll pull out the rim, put it in the middle of the street, and it's just like, hey, we're going, you know, and you know, I may have been like 14, 15, and we're just consistently winning games over and over again. And those are some of the most, you know, for me, important memories. And also as well, you know, those guys that we were playing with 20, 22, 23, 24, they see how this man is engaging with his sons as well. Right. So it's not like something that's, you know, foreign. Hey, look, this is what you do with your kids. You know, we're going to barbecue, we're going to play basketball, we're going to engage, we're going to have a really good time, you know. And to me, these are the unsung heroes, you know, in the community.
Sure. So this is what I'm hearing, and which is amazing, right? Because he has always sort of wanted knowledge, attained it, you know, formally and informally, but then also sort of walked the talk, right? So whether it was involvement in your lives, you know, your siblings' lives, but then also the community. But then, because there's two different aspects, and I'll just say this as we get ready to wrap. Everybody won't be as dynamic as your pop. Let's just, you know, but we all can contribute. So whether it's, first of all, taking care of home, being involved in your family's lives, your community's lives, and also sort of passing that along. Sometimes it's with formal knowledge, you know, him being able to bring that business savviness and say, hey, here's how you prepare, here's how you get your business from point A to point B. I think that's amazing. But I just think the presence of Black males in the community will always be necessary and always be so important, because it just isn't as prevalent as it should be. So to see a Black man caring about his family and showing that, and doesn't matter who around, being that person, I think probably modeled and set the example for people that you probably haven't talked to in years that carried a lot of that with them.
Yep. I think that you're totally right with that, Baxter. Yeah. And also as well, I think that at this point in time, we have the ability to shape the narrative the way that we want to shape the narrative, right? So in the past, the media companies have always pursued whatever narrative they wanted to pursue. And to me, when I go pick up my son from school, man, I see probably about 60, 70% Black men. You know what I'm saying? Picking up their kids from school, one, sacrificing the type of jobs and the economics to make sure that you have the ability to pick your kid up from school, and so on and so forth. I mean, the same thing with many of the basketball teams and things like that. There's truly a very strong level of engagement. And I think that among Black men and their children. And I do think that we definitely need to make sure that we push the narrative, put it out there, you know what I'm saying, a lot more. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I think that that's what I like to see, man. I mean, you go to my timeline, that's what you're gonna see. A bunch of kid stuff, even though my son is 10 now and my other one is 20, and they do not like me taking pictures of them, putting them on. Are you putting this on the internet, Daddy? Like, come on, man. Let me have my shine sometime as well.
Yeah, you gotta love on them, man. And
yeah.
You know, and they'll appreciate it, you know, sooner or later. So
sooner or later.
So shout out and salute to
Deolis Allen.
Deolis
Allen Jr.
Deolis Allen Jr. Yeah.
Yes,
salute to all of the folks that are making an impact that maybe we just haven't heard of, but have been so instrumental in so many people's lives. Continue to learn about these history makers and the foundation that they're setting for the likes of Jason, for the likes of myself. And I encourage everybody who's watching this to do your own research and to not discount the impressions that the people in your community have maybe made to you. And if they're still around, go back and thank them. Go back and thank them. And you can also thank them by following in their footsteps and giving back yourself, right?
You're exactly right about that, Baxter.
Yeah,
you are exactly right about that.
On behalf of Jason, I am Baxter E. Please continue to do your research. Remember that Black history is American history. And this has been a good one, man. Thank you. Till next time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Baxter. Peace. Take care. All right.
Welcome into his brain. Welcome into his frequency. Enter at your own risk. Come be at peace with me.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please hit the like button. Please subscribe, share, and also hit that notification button as well. Thank you so much.
Financial literacy to authentic Black history. This real rap.